Guys, it's been a while. Same me, same army. Let's do this. Guys, I thought I'd give you just a very quick overview of where the army stands now. Over a series of videos, I'll give you a recap of what I've painted in a more sort of individual basis, i.e. I give you a rundown of the assault terminators, the assault squad, terminators themselves, dreadnought, tactical squads, these guys, drop pod, and then all the other minis which I've got, and just kind of recap where I've been over the past couple of years as well. So there's a good couple of videos which you've got to watch over the coming days, and I hope you do enjoy them. As I say, I'll do a very quick overview, kind of flyover of where we are, and what I've got to paint in addition to that. So yeah, we'll probably start in a chronological order as it's easier, and it will give you those guys who are new subscribers, well, all of you will be new subscribers under the circumstances, of how the chapter started and what we've managed to paint this far. And actually, you do get to realise that considering I started my YouTube channel in regards to this kind of nearing 6 years ago now, that I've not actually painted too much, but to be honest, each squad, because it was over such a period of time, has a story about it, and even kind of 6 years ago it still stands true, and the memories are there, and so yeah, we'll probably start with these guys first, more so with the Dreadnought. So this was the first kind of concept mini in regards to the Screaming Eagles, and this was over a period of a couple of kind of YouTube videos, kind of vlogs, between myself and predominantly Van Hammer. So this guy, I don't know if you're still around, Van. If so, how are you, man? I hope you're well. Was kind of, we didn't really know the direction we wanted to take. I knew I wanted to do our own custom chapter, but really coming up with a name was the easiest bit. Screaming Eagles comes from Band of Brothers, easy company, and it's always stuck out to me that, and I think it's kind of created, not a brand, but I felt at the peak of where I was before. You mentioned the Screaming Eagles, and the guys knew this bleached bone themed army with red, blue running through it. So yeah, this was where it kind of started. We were like, okay, we've got the bleach blown down. How do we identify or kind of break up that colour scheme? Because you've got chapters like sort of the Green Angels, Dark Angels is a solid green, and you kind of break up that with bleach bone. And to be honest, that's where the bleach bone came from. I read a tutorial in White Dwarf all those years ago, and that's where I kind of fell in love with bleach bone kind of Deathwing look. So yeah, we kind of experimented with these two squads, and as I say, this was over the summer of 2010, and you can see it was probably very, very matte in terms of its block colours. It's not too good. Over a period of time, I picked up some Tamiya weathering kits, and that's where we kind of got this weathered look from. So again, in that summer of 2010, I painted up these guys. When I first bought this army, I bought it kind of around a list, so that's why I kind of went from this to that. Everyone wants to paint a Dreadnought white. They're the best looking mini in the game at that time, or at least in my opinion. Don't shoot me if you disagree. So yeah, again, using blue and red as those primary colours to break up the bleach bone, I started to progress these guys. Now at the time, I was really happy with the way these guys came out, especially the guy's face, and you'll probably be able to get more detail of that in the individual breakdown, which I'll put later on. But yeah, love to have these guys turned up at the time. For the guys who don't know, who are new to the channel now, I kind of picked up the hobby in like 2006 with Lord of the Rings, and then moved over to 40k when my friends introduced me to Tau. And then when I came back in 2010, I was like, you know what, let's hop on this bandwagon. It was a time of when the Blood Angels were kicking about, and so I was like, Space Marines, let's give these guys a go. So yeah, from these guys, I moved over to the Assault Marines. So to be honest, guys, some of these minis which I've got here, again, will be breakdown in further detail, are really characteristic, and that's what I love. I'm not the best painter by any means. In fact, I'm pretty poor when I now look at the standards, when I've been catching up with the guys of the community who we kind of started at the same time. But I'm hoping to pick up and improve once I get the brush back in hand. But yeah, the bleach bone is there, the blue is there, and the red features very little, actually, in the Assault Marines. And I'll explain that in a second, because when I move over to the Tactical Marines, you see the red bang, boosh, it's right there. And I kind of wanted to use it as an individual identifier for what the squads were. Yeah, the Assault Marines have a big jump pack on the back, but at the same time, they're part of the same army, but you know, these guys are different. They've earned these red backpacks as part of being Tactical Marines. Again, some of the characters in here are epic, and even though it was based around a list, when I actually got around to building these guys, I was like, you know what, I want to throw a heavy flamer in there. I want to throw a rocket launcher in there. So in terms of actually playing with these minis, I'm really not too sure. But maybe something, if I get back into the game side of things, I can pick up and start enjoying and actually making minis which are usable, rather than pretending, okay, this guy doesn't actually have a bolter rifle. We then moved over to the Assault Terminators. Now these guys was the first attempt at Lightning Claws. Very simple, not very good, but at the time I was pleased with the effort. Again, the characteristics are there. I apologise about the the lighting, but when it comes to the individual breakdown, I'll get some better lighting and you can see them in all their glory, at least again in my opinion. Now we'll move over to kind of like the Police de Resistance of the Screaming Eagles. Now there's 3 pieces here, 1 custom, 2 Forge World, and that's from the Games Day 2011. Now this was kind of like my first community meetup, and to think that this is 5 years ago scares the living crap out of me. But yeah, I queued for God knows how many hours when it comes to the next 2 minis, but I believe it was worth every penny. What I want you to note here is on both the Tactical Marines and the Assault Marines, we have a gold trim. Now, as I sort of progressed this army forward, I thought, you know what, when it comes to these special kind of mantelpiece minis, I'm going to put more gold in, and that was using the Vallejo metallic ranges, which I still have, but I'm not too sure of the state of the paint world now anyway. So we'll move over to the Border Marine. Now this has to be one of my favourite minis in the army, and I made a video about it, and it still stands in my mind to this day. It was when the game Gears of War trailer came out, and it was Into Dust, and to be honest, it was such a characteristic video for such a characteristic mini. He's adorned with so many sort of florets almost, that I'm really liking what I see. So yeah, again, during the individual mini countdown breakdowns, should I say, I'll show you in more detail, and hopefully you can understand why I like this mini so much. I then move over to the Contemptor Dreadnought. This guy was a pain in the arse to make, as you can tell. He's leaning slightly back, but let's pretend he's trying to absorb the kickback from his, what I can only assume is a minigun. So yeah, this guy, loved it. Was the first mini I used the Vallejo the Tamiya weathering kits on, and I thought he came out rather swell. Last but not least is the custom mini by the one, the only, great Jojo man. Paul, I hope you're doing well. So yes, this, again, when I break him down in the individual mini videos, was kind of like, yeah, this is the chapter master. He was made to that, and he lived up to the hype. He did a great job, and he's worth every penny. So yeah, this is where the army stands now. As I say, I'll do a couple of videos breaking down sort of the core guys, my favourite guys, and hopefully, yeah, this is the start of a new journey, guys. I'm excited, I hope you are. Yeah, so, as always, if you haven't already, leave a like, leave a comment, say hello, it's been a while, and if you want to stay along for the ride, please subscribe. As always, it's been a pleasure, it's been a while. Clarkey 1991, signing out.